Nico, hey, how's it going?
John's good, bud. How are you?
Good. I got to talk to you a couple of months ago for Walking Dead,
Mm.
World Beyond. Um, Feels like a few days ago, but it was about 5, 6 months. How's your time been since then? How have you been doing?
Yeah, my time's been good. Had I just wrapped The Walking Dead last one we
You were
talked?
you were filming it actually,
I was filming.
and yeah,
Yeah, so we wrapped in July or end of June, early July. I just wrapped a movie here in Los Angeles. I've been shooting a
yeah.
movie called The Mattachine Family, which is a really, really special project that I'm very excited about. And the holiday season is here. I'm excited for like a little break, honestly. This is the first time I've kind of like been available in 8 years. So there's some exciting conversations happening and loving life.
Yeah. I think the last time that I talked to you, yeah, you were filming Walking Dead and it's just wrapped. I mean, you just aired the second last episode
Hmm.
yesterday, and Younger was wrapping up. Oh, yeah, it was finished at the
Hmm.
time. I think you had just aired the last one. For Younger, what do you think of sort of as the legacy for the show? I mean, you made it 7 seasons. Now it's going to be released on DVD. What's your take on sort of the legacy of the show?
Legendary. I mean, it's just, I don't think we realized how good we had it and how incredible of a story we were all part of, and how necessary it was. I think the last, 7 years have been hectic in a lot of ways, both socially, politically, medically, right? Like, and Younger was always there in a way that raised spirits. It was a joyous show. It's kind of this, I've said this before, but it's this genre of television that doesn't really exist anymore. And I think that we were all so lucky, obviously, to be part of the show, but to have it in our back pockets, and especially the last couple of years, the fact that people have been able to like discover it in a new way has been really beautiful. I feel very lucky and grateful.
I was catching up with you. Darren Star was saying that you were basically cast, and then the next day there, like on set, doing the thing. And then you had mentioned too that you'd taken out, you'd had all the piercings, you had the tattoos, but you had the piercings in, and you took out the piercings to be less LA Josh and more New York Josh.
Mhm.
And then even added to the tattoos, and I know you've added to your own tattoos as well too.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot more tattoos. I think that Younger kind of gave me like free reign to get whatever I wanted to get done, which probably isn't entirely true, but I made it make sense in my head for a multitude of reasons. But yeah, that was a cool part of the job for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking about how for World Beyond, you were saying that, the Felix's body is the canvas. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking also for Josh, it's jarring, when I'm going back and forth between the shows to see you, just to see such a different look. So
To- two, two totally different people.
how did you get into the Josh headspace?
Mhm. Um, hmm. I mean, the Josh headspace is a lot closer to what my like normal life is, I would say, than Felix is for sure. But it was easy to fall into Josh. I mean, I had been living in Brooklyn already. I had frequented plenty of tattoo shops and have been friends with tattoo artists pretty much for the last 15, 16 years, if not longer than that. And, I've dated older women. I, I, I've had these experiences in my life, and stepping into the fantastical world that is Darren Starr's brain, right? The writers, um, it came really naturally for me to bring Josh to life. And there was a lot of freedom and collaboration. And I think that like working opposite Sutton and Hillary and Molly and Debbie really brought like another layer to Josh that made it all the much easier.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about that too. With Sutton in particular, you sort of bookend the series. You start together and end together, and it's left kind of unsure of where the future would be. I know you didn't get the last name reveal for
I know.
Josh, but how did that feel to sort of, with Sutton to do that, to have that sort of full circle moment on the show?
I mean, there are no words really. My first day at work on on the show was filming that scene in the bar, and my last day at work 7 years later was filming that pretty much exact same scene at the bar. And I mean, it reminds me of like an orbit around the Earth in a way. Like it fully just brought it back to square one for me, and how lucky that I am, that we both are, to be able to experience this show in that way. Um, Sutton is such a force, and it was really an emotional day. I had a hard time getting through the day. I'm getting emotional even just thinking about it. But it was the perfect way to wrap it up. And I don't truly believe that it is the end. I think that like the way that we kind of finalize this chapter is really open and leaves room for a lot more story to be told. And um, I think you'll be seeing more at some point. Maybe not in the immediate future, but somewhere down the line, the stars will align.
So under the same sort of umbrella or family umbrella, I got to see your crib, which apparently isn't even your crib. You were in Poughkeepsie, you were in upstate New York. Now you're going to be in New Jersey. You're out in LA filming this movie, but how is
Yeah.
that what has that been like for you? Because, the show is a lot about moving and, moving around and, being outside of New York. And some of the themes certainly seem to play in to your own life now. So what's that been like for you, that these themes are recurring?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Cribs was awesome to shoot. It was definitely like a dream come true as a 90s kid, right? Like that was a huge deal. And we still have that house that is definitely still our home, and we put a lot of love into that space. Our second house is in New Jersey, so we have the city house and the upstate house. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like I've been in LA for the last month and a half, and that's just kind of the life of an actor. You never know really where you're going to be and what you're going to be working on, and your entire life can change at the drop of a dime. We're always one phone call away from like the next job, right? It's the way I like to think about it. And there's such a rush that comes with it. It's what keeps me. I love that part of the job. A lot of actors wouldn't say that. But I think that like in family planning right now and trying to make some babies, I think that like priorities have shifted a little bit. The last couple of years have put a lot in perspective, and I'm excited for what the next chapter actually looks like.
Hmm. Didn't get to ask you the last time. Curious about this. People come to the show differently, to younger, maybe a binge, maybe episode by episode. What kind of things have moved you in the same way? What have you watched recently that kind of, just made it such an impact on you?
Yeah. Um, Honestly, I just watched Tick Tick Boom this morning.
Mm.
Absolutely loved it. Um, I mean, I think White Lotus really did an incredible job of social commentary. I shot a pilot with Mike actually in between the first season and the second season of Younger, and there was a split second where that show was going to go, and there was a whole debacle about leaving Younger and going to go shoot this HBO show with Mike White. But that's another story for another time. Uh, I I honestly I just did The Sopranos all over again. I
Mm.
started from the beginning and just finished it last week. Um, I watched that show as a kid with my family. Every week we would watch it, and I come from a big Italian family in Chicago. We owned a bunch of bars and delis and worked in construction, so it all seemed very close to home. And I've gotten to see my family a lot less over the last couple of years than normally, so it was nice to kind of just have that in my pocket all the time. But there's just so much television, and I've actually been having a hard time concentrating on film in the same way that I do on television. I get through 2 hours of a movie And it's not always the case. There have been some movies that, you know, have changed me for sure. But I get through a movie and I'm like left underwhelmed. I'm left like wanting more at this point. And I think that that's just kind of what's happened in the marketplace, right? In the landscape of television. You have so much long form content that, like, how are you satisfied after 2 hours? But We Are Here, Lucas show on HBO, really, um, really was incredible. I don't know. I mean, I could keep going, but those are some good examples.
Well, in terms of shows, I got a chance to speak with Hal right after I, spoken with you, and Hal had some really, really interesting things to say about how, you
Always
know,
does.
yeah, your mentor, and for this movie of Emily Hampshire, and certainly on Younger, I'm reading about how you had said that the show is in many ways, it's female driven, and you're sort of there to kind of drive the plot a little bit. But how does that feel to you, when you're on set and you're so engaged? How does it feel to build work relationships?
It's I've been talking about this a lot recently. It's actually like my social life is so dependent on my work family that when I'm not working, sometimes I feel like I don't have friends in a weird way. And it's not just cast, like the community of filmmaking is so special. And every step along the way, I form some type of relationship, whether it's like with, you know, a camera operator or a dolly grip or the sound guy or whoever it is across the board. Like, so many people come together with one common goal, and we're like carnies at heart. We like show up in these towns all across the world, all live together basically for a few months or whatever it is, and then kind of all disappear and go back to our lives. And I it's what keeps me here. It's like that. Those communities are so special to me, and I can't imagine a life without it. And I think on my next job, depending on exactly what it is in terms of television, like, I definitely want to spend time with each department head and shadow a bunch and really get in the trenches as much as I can and learn as much as I can to hopefully one day direct and continue to produce. And I just love this job, and there's not a day that I take it for granted.
Just want to quickly say how you have said lead with love is a good message from the show, from Younger, and I think that's so important too, based around what you're saying.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
It was a pleasure speaking with you again, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nico.